Hey guys, it's been a while. Justyn coming at you, and we're gonna get some catching up here. I have a lot of catching up to do in the GRB world, but we're gonna start small, and we're gonna start with this little article we got going on right behind here. So let's get right down to it. Okay, so this is titled Gypsy Rose Blanchard responds to backlash after joking about mother's murder. And this is written by Elizabeth Stanton. This was released last month in March, so this is fairly new. And we're going to go ahead and take a quick look and see what this says. So starting off at the very top up here, Gypsy Rose Blanchard is apologizing after making a joke about mother's murder. Yeah, apologizing or doing damage control, because usually damage control is what I see her doing. Apologizing, she's only doing that to save her own skin. That's all I've ever seen. Just saying. Anyways, that's an old picture of her. I wonder why they're using the old ones. Anyways, Blanchard participated in a TikTok trend earlier this week in which she made a joke about the 2015 killing of her, or unaliving of her mother, Dee Dee Blanchard. Now, I believe they're referring to the cringe fest that she did with that girl Natalie. And again, I don't know what's more disturbing. Either Gypsy finally admitting that she, and not her, not Nick, but her finally admitting that she unalived her mother. You know, maybe that's her first step to taking accountability, or that was more of a Freudian slip. I think that's what I said before. That was kind of, going off script a little bit. But again, I don't know what's more disturbing, either her admitting that she finally did the unaliving herself, or Natalie saying that she likes her own Dutch ovens. Can't tell what's more disturbing. Both women are absolute cringe fests. In the clip, Blanchard was teamed with influencer Natalie Reynolds. That's what I was just talking. That's what I just called out. I was probably referring to the Natalie thing. Reynolds for the video, dubbed "We Listen and We Don't Judge." I think Gypsy also did that with Kale on her podcast as well, if I'm not mistaken, which involves poking fun at dark moments. Dark moments, even that term is probably an understatement. I mean, this is like beyond dark web moments. This is, not just your daily creepypasta. This is like basically, I wish we didn't have double jeopardy laws when it comes to murder, but unfortunately we do. We listen and we don't judge. I went to prison for 8.5 years because Gypsy said not Nick, not I had Nick or had someone else do it. Because again, that was like her wildest claim was, I didn't actually do the unaliving. He's the one that did it. That's why he's in jail in the first place. It's like, again, I guess she just abandoned that one off script by accident. I think I said before it was a Freudian slip. I think that's really what it was. It was a Freudian slip, and now she actually accidentally told the truth. And she said, pausing to make a choking noise, forming an X with her arms, which means unaliving, my own mom. Why she thinks that's appropriate at all to joke about is ridiculous. So either she's doing this for shock value and just to try to get a viral moment, something like people like the Island Boys or the Hawk Tuah girl, or, just someone that's super cringy, gets viral for. She's not trying to actually make nice content like Mia does, or like some other people that we know, sharing parts of her life and career and her engagement, all this stuff, that's why she says her sister's a big trigger of hers. I would be, for anyone out there that knows the family closely, keep an eye on Mia. I'd be worried about her at this point, seeing that. To me, Gypsy will always just be a baby mama, as my friend Audrey says. And, Mia's on the way to a happy marriage, it looks like. And she works a very noble career. And she's drop dead beautiful, and about 10 years younger than Gypsy. I guarantee Gypsy absolutely hates that. But she pretends that she's proud of her sister. I see a lot of pretending there. Otherwise, why would she be a trigger? Why would you ever say that about your own sister? It's because it's true. We listen and we don't judge. I went to prison for 8.5... Okay, I already read that. Blanchard also admitted to wearing wigs in the clip. Now, that's the part that's always baffled me, and I said this before. If she was so traumatized from the stuff her mother put her through, like, shaving her head and having to make her wear wigs and all that stuff, faking the leukemia and all the other cancerous stuff that was going on, why would you purposely go back to wearing wigs and wearing the wigs and shaving her head and doing... Wouldn't that be like an enormous PTSD moment? Wouldn't that be a big trigger in and of itself? Why would you do that voluntarily if this was so traumatizing and it was so abuse worthy? That makes no sense. You know why? Because I don't think any abuse took place. while Reynolds confessed to faking a pregnancy to keep an ex from breaking up with her. Well, I'll always say Gypsy straight up. I think I will always believe that she straight up baby trapped Ken. It's like as soon as she made contact with Ken, she was preggo. I don't think that was a coincidence at all. So, it doesn't surprise me that somebody like Natalie Reynolds, who admits, again, I don't know what's more disturbing. Gypsy admitting that, she finally did it. She finally unalived the mom. Or Reynolds saying that she likes her own Dutch ovens. But again, it's just like, I don't know. If I heard a girl, it doesn't matter how attractive she looks, say something like that, and that's just disgusting. That's not funny. That's not cute. That's disgusting. Nobody cares to hear about that, and that's not funny. Again, I don't know. I think these girls just kind of made that video for the sake of just, producing a reaction, just rage bait. I don't even think it counts as rage bait. It's just gross bait. It's disgusting. There's nothing else to really classify that as. It was just disgusting. Moving right along, in an interview with TMZ, Blanchard addressed the video saying, "I understand that my audience has always followed my journey because they like to see me grow." No, Gypsy, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but majority of the people following you are watching you because everyone loves to watch a nice train wreck. Everyone loves a good train wreck. You know what I mean? It's kind, it's like clown cars about to come crashing. It's just kind of like, come on already, come on and crash. It's like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like funny, but you feel bad for watching it, but at the same time you don't, because this person's done some really abhorrent things. Everyone loves a good, good set of drama, a lot of dramatic pieces all coming together. People love a good car crash, a nice clean crash, and a whole bunch of fatalities with a whole bunch of limbs sticking out of all over the place. You know what I mean? I'm not saying, that's tragic. Absolutely. But still, people like to watch a nice train wreck. I'm saying this metaphorically. I'm not saying that people like to actually watch car crashes, but people like to watch a good, personal train wreck take place in real life. And that's Gypsy Rose in and of herself. That's her biggest claim to fame, is just being a live train wreck ever since she got out of prison. I mean, seriously, she had the chance of doing something with herself and actually, contributing to a cause in a really good way. But, she let that ship sail time and time again because money and clout are more important than doing anything positive. Anyway, usually I love how Gypsy thinks that she can just claim all this stuff for herself as if we endorsed it. None of us ever said we like to follow her journey because we like to watch her grow. I haven't seen a single person outside of her own personal friends say something like that. Usually I think I can bank on my audience receiving things very well. No, Gypsy. This is why you've disabled comments a whole millions of times. This is why you've left TikTok millions of times, countless times. This is why you've gifted your profile to Bree, and you know what I mean, and then have come back and left and come back and left. Is that because you've been receiving a good reception from your audience? No. I think it's because of the opposite. But I'm not the type of person to be very in your face about my past. That's literally all you have is your past, your crime. You grift off your crime. That's basically all you have. You have nothing else. And if you do try something else, it's an epic fail, from the ground up. Again, it's just like, I'm not sure if you have a PR person anymore. Last time I heard it was your lawyer. I'm not sure what's changed since then. But again, it's just like whoever's giving you the PR advice, they're really bad at it. So anyways, continuing, she continued, "This is the first time that I tried something different in a head-on approach." No, you did. You did this with Kale on her podcast. We saw you do this. We listen and we don't judge thing. This is not new. Unfortunately, it wasn't received like we wanted. What were you expecting? You're talking about schmurdering your own mom, which is not something funny or cute to talk about. And you got Natalie talking about her own Dutch ovens. What reaction were you expecting? You think we were going to laugh at that? You think that's cute or funny? It's not. It's disgusting. It's not even rage bait. It's just gross. Blanchard also said in the interview, "The whole idea behind it is yes, we understand that we're not perfect." I think that's That's quite the understatement of the century. We're not perfect. I don't think perfection is something you were ever gracing or coming close to. How about just not abhorrent? You're not even close to that. We are influencers. Yeah, not in a good way, Gypsy. And you would never influence in a good way. You've never have influenced in a good way. We've actually seen, in fact, there's somebody that's actually been in my own live streams that had, she's a mom herself, that had her own child almost do harmful things to her because she looked up to Gypsy. In my opinion, Gypsy's a very dangerous person to be influencing people, especially because we've seen her more than once go after the younger crowds, younger girls, minors, young people. You know, people that are easily impressionable, because Gypsy knows those are the easier ones to manipulate. And we have gone through some difficult things. Oh, you poor soul. You got right out of prison, you got your own TV show, you got hundreds of thousands of dollars in documentaries, you got to, you know, continue your grift with, you know, basically conning the public and thinking you're somebody that you're not. Nothing's ever changed with you. And how's that difficult? You've had it quite easy. You are bound and determined to make sure that the word J-O-B does not come into your life, Gypsy. And you've even said that. I think when someone asked you a job question one time, you said, well, in another life, if I ever did work, I would be, I forget what you said, but it's just like, hey, at least you admit that you don't plan on ever working, ever. And you wonder why people like your sister more. You know, this is one of the many reasons. Because she's not a complete sellout, and she's not a complete grifter. But we are focusing on positivity. How is you admitting to schmurder and Natalie talking about her own Dutch oven's positivity? I don't know what delusion you're under with that, but Godspeed on getting whatever you have going on fixed in your head. That was the entire point of the video, is accountability and growth. None of that was accountability. That was you basically mocking your own crime and grifting off your own crime, but yet again for views and clicks, and Natalie just adding her own bit of disgust on top of it. That's not accountability. That's just cringeworthiness, you know, and wannabe clout. And I think that's the main reason you got your account taken down again. You had to appeal it over and over again, was because of that. So I think TikTok, even themselves, who let just about everything go, even they had enough with it at that point. Well, here we are again. In 2016, Blanchard pleaded guilty to second-degree murder for her role in her mother's unaliving. She was convicted and sentenced to 10 years in prison and was released approximately 2 years early in 2023. And believe me, she went to hell and high water to getting out early, even though she said she's never felt more free in prison. Again, I'll always point out that hypocrisy. Well, Gypsy, if you felt so free and you felt so, lavishly in there, why'd you want to leave so badly? Just stay where you are. This is your claims, not mine. All right, let's keep going. Okay, and this is the last of it. Her then boyfriend, Nicholas Godejohn, fatally poked Dee Dee and was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. Yeah, if that's, again, one of the biggest injustices about this. If anyone deserved any leniency, especially the way it was given to Gypsy, it should have been given to him equally, especially given the fact that, he was not the mastermind of this crime. He was just the muscle. Again, and he was, he had autism, never received the affection. I've gone through this before. Never received the affection from a woman like Gypsy. None of that. It's just like, it's just one of those things where if there's ever a case I've ever seen that deserved leniency, Nicholas Godejohn is a prime example of a person that I think deserved it. Anyways, following their arrests, it was revealed that Dee Dee she did not have Munchausen's syndrome by proxy. Not a single person has diagnosed her with that. There's one doctor, one. First of all, you can't diagnose somebody posthumously, okay? They're deceased. Secondly, she did not have Munchausen syndrome by proxy, and the one doctor that said she did also said Gypsy had high alarming rates of sociopathy as well. So, it's funny that I've talked to a few of her supporters and they leave that part out. It's like, yeah, okay. The same doctor that said this is the worst case of Munchausen syndrome by proxy he's ever seen also said Gypsy was a sociopath. So, you can't just pick and choose what part of that diagnosis you want to, endorse and then leave out the rest of it. And had She abused Blanchard for years by lying about her daughter's health. No, I don't think she lied about her health. I think something like her rare case of microdeletion, IQ 21.1, was very hard to pinpoint. And even doctors at one point probably thought something else was going on at the time. And until they got to finding out it was microdeletion, there was probably a whole bunch of different diagnoses, tossing back and forth. We've seen the medical records. But again, people have to take the time to actually read the FOIAs. And, go follow my girl Audrey if you want to get down to the nitty gritty on that stuff. Leading to real medical treatments that were unnecessary. No, again, they're just repeating Gypsy's narrative at this point. None of this has ever been actually confirmed by an actual doctor or diagnosis. This is just repeating Gypsy's claims. Again, doesn't surprise me coming from the tabloids because, they have to follow her lead at some point because, it's Gypsy Rose. It's like they don't want to go too hard against her, but, it's just like, it would be nice if the same perpetrators that put her on this mainstream media pedestal would actually undo what they actually did in the first place and basically make a schmurderer into some kind of influencer. Just saying, just my suggestion. Well, that's the end of that cringe fest, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, which is not at all. But anyways, I figured I'd just read that to you guys for old time's sake and just catch up with you guys quite a bit. I know there's a lot of catching up I have to do. I'm recently going through a change of location and work as we speak, so it's been one of those things where it's been kind of a struggle lately, especially coming from a place like New York City, which is not exactly being run very cohesively right now. It's a big mess here in the city, so it's been hard to just kind of navigate through my day and my week, let alone do things on TikTok. I wish I could just sit and do stuff like this all day, but who knows what the future holds. I am going to try to do more updates though. I'm going to try to do more live streams. I'm glad whoever's still here, I'm glad you're still here. If you're new here, welcome. Anyways, you guys have a great rest of your day, and this was a cringe fest.